Probably my favorite thing about the Super Mario Bros. Franchise are its secrets, which are actually way more complex than you'd think, especially as the gameplay revolves around relatively simplistic platforming. One of these really cool features are its warps, which you can use to gain early access to certain worlds or unlock extra areas, where today, I want to look at each and every single one from across the entire series. This really has become a Mario staple, found in basically every entry, where I'll go through and explain each one, where I guarantee that there'll be a few that you never knew of. Oh yeah, before I get started, my name is Copycat, and if you haven't yet, then please subscribe to my channel, hitting that bell button to stay notified when I upload new videos. Of course, the very first game we're going to look at here is Super Mario Bros. For the NES, which is where warps started off in the series, allowing you to find a secret room within certain stages, letting you take a pipe to another world. The first of these can be found in World 1-2, where you can use the list to get on top of the platform above the pipe, which leads to the warp zone. Here you'll find 3 pipes, one that leads to World 2, one that leads to World 3, and the last that leads to World 4, but whichever you decide to choose, it will allow you to skip a significant portion of the game. The only other level in this entry that contains warps is World 4-2, where once again, one is found behind the underground area's end exit. Here you'll find only one warp pipe in the zone that leads to World 5, meaning the specific route gives you no choice in where to travel. There is, however, one other warp zone in this level that does actually give you that choice, which can be found if you uncover the beanstalk through a series of hidden blocks, just past the first lift area. Taking this leads you to an above ground area that contains the warp zone with 3 pipes, letting you choose between going to World 6, 7, or 8. Once you know all these paths leading to these warps, you can beat the game extremely quickly, and are necessary to know if you want to complete any speedruns. The second game in the original trilogy, at least in Western markets, is Super Mario Bros. 2, where warping involves you having to throw down magic potions near specific jars so you can enter the subspace and go down them, which then takes you to different worlds. The very first of these is found in World 1-3, where you have to carry it all the way to the right of the initial area until you find the lone jar. Creating the subspace door, entering it, then going down the pipe will warp you directly to World 4, allowing you to skip almost half the game. The next one of these can be found in World 3-1, but in an extremely secretive area as you have to actually fall down the waterfall, which at first glance looks like you're just entering a void leading to your death. Instead, you'll actually end up falling pretty far towards the house at its bottom, where within it you can find a potion and a jar, where entering the subspace and going down it lets you access World 5 earlier than intended. World 4-2 also contains a jar that you can use to warp, letting you travel directly to World 6. This is done by carrying the potion through the stage's whale section until you come across the jar that's located on an island underneath a platform, placed between 2 whales within the water. You do have to carry the potion relatively far, so be careful traversing on the whale's water spouts, as even touching them slightly the wrong way can cause you to take damage. The final warp from this title can be found in World 5-3, basically right at its beginning, and can actually only be accessed if you're playing as Luigi, as he has the highest jump, letting you reach the higher up platform. Here of course you'll find a potion next to the pipe, where entering the subspace and going down it will lead you to World 7. Warping in this title is drastically different when compared to any other in the franchise, but this is a unique game that didn't originally star Mario, so the strange seeming change sorta does make sense. The final game of the original trilogy, Super Mario Bros. 3, replaces the usual warp pipes with magic whistles, which when used in the game's overworld sends you to a secretive warp zone, allowing you to choose which world to progress to. There are only 3 of these whistles to find in the entire game, where the first is located in a secret subspace in World 1-3. To get there, you have to find a specific white block and crouch on it, where after a few seconds of holding it, you'll actually phase through it to the other side of the stage, where you then need to progress to the end. Here you'll be transported to a secret mushroom house where the treasure chest in the middle can be opened, which of course contains the whistle. The second one shows up in the World 1 Fortress, where you'll need to be equipped with a Super Leaf power-up, as it requires you to fly to a higher up platform. This needs to be done really close to the first door, where you'll have to clear the area of the dry bones, then fly upwards where you'll find the super secret hidden area. This leads to a room just containing a treasure box where the second warp whistle is located. The final of these can only be found in World 2, where you need to use the hammer item, which you get after beating the hammer bro, to break a rock in the overworld map, which reveals a brand new area. Here you come across the fire bro, that when defeated drops the last of these whistles for you to find in this game. What's even cooler about this item is that you can use multiple at the same time, as when you play it when already in the warp zone, it can send you right to World 8, skipping a large majority of the regular gameplay experience. The true sequel in the original trilogy, released only in Japan, but then later released in Western markets alongside the Super Mario All-Stars collection, is the Lost Levels, which has a huge amount of warps, some of which actually force you to travel backwards. World 1-2 actually contains 3 separate warp zones, starting with the one in the most obvious spot that leads to World 2. This is found directly behind the final pipe of the level, where again, you need to gain height using the lift, which is a bit more difficult in this situation, but not impossible. The second is found in a hidden area that's only accessible using a beanstalk, that can be triggered by bonking off this brick just to the right of the second pipe. This leads to an above ground athletic area with a warp zone at its end, only leading to World 3. The final one from this stage is actually located through the first pipe found in the warp zone area that leads to World 2, where going down it brings you to another alternate space that seems like a glitched out area. However, you quickly realize that you have to uncover a few hidden blocks so you can traverse over the wall and find a pipe that transports you to World 4. World 3-1 is the next place in this game where you can find a warp, where all you need to do is use the spring located near the end flagpole to launch yourself over it, finding an extra area that leads to the pipe. This is however a bit strange as it actually sends you back to World 1, meaning that in this game, sometimes finding secrets is a punishment and not a reward. Oddly, there is another method of doing this, as you just have to go down the first pipe of the level, complete the bonus area, where for some reason you'll be transported to a warp zone that also leads to World 1. World 5-1 contains one warp that lets you get to World 6, but there are actually 2 separate methods of getting there. The first is by finding the bonus coin heaven through the beanstalk, that can be triggered by hitting this block. The second method is done by performing an incredibly well-timed jump over the flagpole, which brings you to an extra area and leads to a pipe going to World 6. It's interesting that not only does this game have multiple exits in the same level, but also at times ones that lead to the same place. This is the case in World 5 too, but in this instance they actually lead to different destinations, where the one found behind the underground section's pipe leads you to World 7. The second is a bit trickier to find, as it's via a beanstalk that's hidden within this random block to the left of the lift section. This allows you to go to an above ground area where you need to jump towards the warp zone that leads to World 8. The only other level in the base game that has a warp is World 8-1, but of course because this is in the last of the regular worlds, this actually sends you backwards to World 5. This is found by going down this pipe that leads to an underwater section with some unexpected features and enemies, where at its end you'll find the warp zone. The only other ones that can be found in this entry are through the extra secret lettered levels that unlock once you beat the game, where the first is in World A2. This is the regular old, behind the end pipe kind of warp, where you're only given one option and that leads to World B. The second is actually located in the next stage, World A3, where you have to jump over the flagpole using the spring once again. Here you'll find that the warp zone leads you to World C. Strange as you think this would be in World B, and not the next level over from the previous, but whatever. The absolute final from this game is found in World B4, where going down the pipe just before the fake Bowser fight leads you to the warp zone. This lets you go all the way to World D, and is the final time you can transport like this in this strange Mario experience. Up next in the series is Super Mario World for the SNES, where this one contains warp pipes that lead to different routes or areas within the different overworld sections. The first of these that you come across is the one that leads from Donut Secret House to Donut Secret 2, bringing you to the top left cliff of Valley of the Bowser. After beating this out of the way level, it gives you a bit of a shortcut towards Morton's Castle, putting you at Donut Plains 3. The second of these you can find is in the Vanilla Dome, leading to either the high or low path of the Twin Bridges area. The way you go depends on how you complete Vanilla Dome 1, where the normal exit takes you to Vanilla Dome 2 and the bottom portion of the bridge, where the secret exit through the keyhole leads to the more regular portion of the bridge. The final of these alternate path pipe warps can be found in Chocolate Island through its second level's keyhole exit. where to get this to occur, you have to have 250 seconds on the timer when you reach that area of the stage. This allows you to get to the chocolate secret level that's actually located upon a cliff in the Valley of the Bowser, where completing that then gives you a massive shortcut right to Wendy's castle. The very first 3D game in the series is Super Mario 64 for the N64, which replaces the regular between-world warps with in-level teleporters, letting you move quickly between one area of a course and another. Starting with Bob-omb Battlefield, the first warp teleporter you can find in this stage is in the specific patch of flowers close to where the several Goombas are located. Standing still and waiting a few seconds within it transports you to another patch of flowers at the other end of the level, much closer to the entrance of the mountain. You can try to use this warp to your advantage, cutting off time by traveling back and forth between the two, but honestly some you'll see coming up don't really do this and are a bit confusing. You'll see what I mean. The second warp in this stage is found within the alcoves on the side of the mountaintop, where standing in the corner of one transports you to the other and vice versa. This just allows you to scale up it much quicker, and you can also use it during the Koopa Quick Race to get ahead of him. Whomp's Fortress only has one of these teleporter spots, letting you travel from one side of the level to the other. All you need to do is stand in this corner near the metal cap block, and you'll phase to the platform just above the flagpole leading to the tower. Cool Cool Mountain also only has one warp, which is extremely handy as it's located at the top and the bottom, both on the broken bridge areas tucked away in inconspicuous spots. The next course that contains this feature is Lethal Lava Land, which is unfortunately not that helpful as it only transports you a short distance, and also underneath a Mr. Eyes. This initial spot is on the small island that contains the wing cap, and to this day I'm not sure why this warp is necessary to even be included. The Shifting Sandlands course, found through the secret wall near the Lethal Lava Land painting, contains two sets of warp spots, where one's found outside the pyramid and one within it. The first can be used if you stand in the sand underneath the palm tree in the oasis, sending you to the area where the cannon and wing cap are located. The one inside is found in the corner near the top of the pole, leading you to the climbable section where you can collect the 1-up mushroom. Moving on now to Snowman's Land, there's one warp that lets you travel from the frozen lake where the bully's located to around where you have to start climbing up the snowman. This isn't really that useful to use as it only shaves off a few seconds, not making that much of a difference in your playthrough. Wet Dry World on the other hand has a very useful warp, where you can travel from the very lowest level of the course up to the cannon on its highest peaks. You do still have to unlock the cannon, so this is really only worth it if you've already done so. Tall Tall Mountain has a very strange warp, as it leads to the secret path that leads to the cannon. This is done by standing on the smallest of the shroom platforms, and be careful because they can be annoying to maneuver on. One interesting thing about Tiny Huge Island's warp is that it only works one way, going from this floating platform back to the pipe on the tiny side of the island. This is mainly due to the platforms being able to break away, which can actually leave you stranded, so this way you don't have to return to the lobby. Also, I guess in a way, the pipes found throughout this course are technically warps, as going into them lets you switch between the tiny and huge worlds, which is always an absolutely amazing mechanic to use. The final warp you can come across in this title is found in the Rainbow Ride course, letting you move from the top of the maze to the front door of the house. This game is really the only time these type of teleporter warps exist in the series, making their inclusion even more strange but cool. The next game that contains world warps is New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, which returns the series to its 2D platforming style, but changes how you find these secretive zones to move forward. This time you have to discover secret exits within specific levels that lead to the warp cannons, where the first appears in World 1, leading you to World 5. This is in the World 1 tower stage, where entering this specific section between moving blocks brings you to an alternative path, branching you off in the overworld. The next warp you can find takes place between World 2 and World 5, where getting to the secret exit of World 2-4 will bring you to the cannon. This is done by taking the route past the Piranha Plant to the Rising Water section, where triggering the switch, then swimming upwards past the coins will take you there. There's also a warp that sends you from the Ghost House of World 3 to World 6, done by hitting the secret switch and making the door appear. You of course have to go through that door, leading you to that different exit. World 4 also has a warp through its Ghost House, this time leading to World 7. In this case, you have to be powered down in mini mushroom form, as not only does this allow you to jump higher, but also farther. And of course, being extremely tiny lets you fit in those tight spaces where the door is. The final warp cannon in this game takes you from World 5 to World 8, again through a ghost house, where finding the beanstalk will take you where you need to go. I won't lie, without a guide like this, these warps can be very hard to figure out, and trust me, because there's a few that I never even knew about. The only thing from Super Mario Galaxy that I want to look at in this video are the warp pads, found throughout the Comet Observatory that helps you reach certain areas much quicker. There's the one that leads from the pathway to outside the fountain, the one that goes from the kitchen to the engine room, the one that goes from the engine room to the gate, the one that goes from the gate to the garden, the one that goes from the garden to the garage, and finally, the one that goes from the back of the observatory to the engine room. This is more of a convenience feature than anything else, as warps between worlds or within galaxies is really non-existent. The second game of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the Wii in 2009, having several warps you can utilize, starting with the one in World 1-3. This lets you travel to World 5, done by finding the hidden ledge on top of the already hidden alcove, where at its end you can find the pipe to the alternate exit. World 2-6 contains the next warp from this game, going to World 5 as well, found through a hidden pipe near the end of the stage. To reach this, you need either the propeller power-up or a perfectly timed jump off the Flame Chomp, which is tough to do. Next is the World 3 warp, found within its ghost house, leading this time to World 6. What you need to do is go through the incredibly well-hidden door at the bottom of the screen in an area that looks like a void. This lets you go to the elevator section, where then taking that door leads to the cannon. One of the most elusive warps is found in the World 4 tower, where going through the fake wall in the conveyor block section also lets you go to World 6. This is actually kinda tough, as if you don't hurry, the hidden area will be covered for good. Next is the warp that lets you go from World 5 to World 8, again found within the ghost house, in a platform through a fake wall. This leads to a section that requires you to jump on small square blocks, lit up when you trigger the switch, but dark and transparent if you don't. The final warp in this title is found in World 6-6, leading to World 8. Once again found within a stage devoid of much light. About halfway through it, you'll come across a pipe at the top of the screen, completely shrouded in darkness, where taking it leads to another dark area where you have to dodge bats to find the cannon's exit. The second game in the Super Mario Galaxy series also uses warp pads in its overworld area. However, in very limited quantities, as there's only one that lets you go from the starship to the Red Star Shroom. This entry does have teleporters that let you access hidden extra areas, usually containing enemies you have to defeat for coins or 1-up mushrooms. But of course, these aren't technically warps, so I felt like there's no point in going over every single one of them. Up next, we're going to look at 2 warps from Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS, where the first can be found in World 1-2, leading directly to World 2. In the room just past the checkpoint, you need to use the coin blocks to find the hidden ledge that leads to the warp zone at its end. In World 4-2, you'll find the other warp you can perform in this title, where using the bounce blocks and a few wall jumps will allow you to access the pipe to World 5. I'm surprised that these were the only ones from this entry, as most others that contain levels have several. The next game in the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the 3DS, and has a very limited amount of warps, starting with the one from World 1 to Mushroom World. The exit you need to find is in the tower in the room surrounded by the moving snake blocks. We're going to the right of the screen, and entering the hole in the wall once it clears lets you get to the cannon. Next is the warp that goes from the World 3 tower to Flower World, where you need to be in mini Mario form so you can enter a smaller pipe leading to a different exit. I always hate the ones that require you to have a certain power-up, as most likely that means you can't do it on your first go-around, and have to return once you've collected that item. The second last warp in this game is the one from the Mushroom World Ghost House to Flower World, found by taking the top route during the switch section. This leads to a room with gaps, where you need to wall jump into the second one, revealing another switch, which when triggered, reveals a door to the exit. The final warp contained within this title is found in World Flower 1, leading all the way to World 6. This is definitely one of the best hidden in the franchise, as the only way to find this exit is by riding on the flying coin block as it eventually shoots up in the air, taking you to another area. Pretty amazing, and not something you would instinctively do. The final game of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the Wii U in 2012, and ditches the regular method of directly warping, replacing things instead with secret unlockable pathways that transition into worlds that are farther along. The first of these can be found through a secret exit in World 1's Tilted Tunnel, accessed by using the slanted platform to find the hidden exit, letting you go to World 5. Like I said, this isn't a direct warp, and instead opens the bonus Blooper Secret Lair stage, which is a nice touch as at least you get extra content in this title by finding these well-hidden alternative paths. World 2's Spike Sprouting Sands also has a hidden exit that lets you into World 5 earlier, done by entering the pipe within the block that shoots you upwards to the exit. This then opens up the Piranha Plants on Ice stage, which is a fun level that of course has those two features in its name as its highlights. Next up is the World 3 exit that leads to World 6, found in the Haunted Shipwreck stage through a series of false walls. This allows you to go to the Beanstalk-based Skyward Stalk stage, lets you skip the entirety of Soda Jungle, unlocking Rock Candy Mines. World 4's Ghost House secret level also leads to World 6, through the intermediary Flipperous Lake stage. To find this exit, you need to trigger the P-switch, which turns the rows of coins into blocks, having to continuously jump as quickly as you can, letting you get to the door hidden on the top of the screen. This is the last hidden exit of the game that lets you go to another world, with the rest just acting as a sort of shortcut to other stages within the world you're in. Super Mario 3D World follows the same formula as its land predecessor, where there are only 2 warps in this game that leads to other worlds. The first carries on the tradition of having one in World 1 too, needing the bell power-up so you're in cat form, as it allows you to climb the wall to find the hidden pipe. This spawns a clear pipe that lets you travel to World 2. Once again, not a significant skip, but still a nice little Easter egg that pays homage to the past entries. The other in this game is of course found in World 4 too, where once again you have to be in cat form, so you can climb the wall close to where you find the roulette block. This gives you access to World 5 a bit earlier, but once again, warps aren't a big feature in this title, and these two can easily be missed. The absolutely massive Super Mario Odyssey is the next game I want to showcase, which doesn't necessarily have traditional warps, but does contain paintings that allow you to travel between specific kingdoms. Usually this only lets you go to an area that's completely cut off from the rest of the level, but in certain circumstances you can either pull off some incredible trick jumps, or even glitches to use them as skips. Unfortunately, this only works if the paintings themselves are activated, so in some cases you need to play to specific parts of the game so you can finally use them. This at least lets you move in different ways between kingdoms once you've fully beaten the base game. That is, if you're able to pull off some of the crazy requirements to be able to exit some of these secluded areas. Technically, there is another type of warp in this game in fast traveling, letting you quickly move within kingdoms to checkpoints once you've triggered them. This is a great tool to use as the kingdoms are absolutely massive at times, so giving you this option to travel faster saves you a lot of downtime. Bowser's Fury is the final Mario title we're going to look at in this video, which also contains the fast travel warp method, but this only unlocks once you complete the base game, gaining 45 cat shines and beating Giga Bowser. This then allows you to bring up Lake Lapcat's map and select any named island that becomes highlighted by the pointer. I think this feature should have been in the game from the get-go, although I get that they wanted you to fully explore this strange, goopy world. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, please leave a like, comment below what you thought about it, and of course subscribe to my channel. Also, please go follow my Instagram at CopyCatGamer. There I upload some cool clips and items from my collection that you won't see anywhere else. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!